Entrepreneurs Podcast. Today we have with us Michael Zipursky. How are you, Michael?
Fantastic. How are you doing, Shahid?
I'm doing amazing. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
My pleasure. Great to be with you.
Yeah, thank you. So you mentioned you're in Vancouver.
I am. That's the home base for now, and still being kind of at the tail end, maybe, of COVID. We've been in Vancouver for longer than I've ever been before at one time.
So where were you before?
No, we do a lot of traveling with my family. A couple of years ago, we spent about 5 months traveling, spending time in different places around the world. And each year we'll spend time in Japan and Mexico and Europe. And so it's always nice to get out and see different places. But with COVID, we've been appreciating our local scenery, I guess we could say.
Yeah, you discover so much more. Didn't even know it was there, right? So I like to kind of allow the guests to kind of introduce themselves, all their amazing things that you're involved with.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how far back you want me to go, but I'll maybe just start with kind of where things are right now. So I'm co-founder at Consulting Success. That's consultingsuccess.com. We spent the last 13 years working with consultants all around the world, helping them really to create more profitable and strategic consulting businesses. That's on the back of the last 21 years building consulting businesses myself, and done that in Canada, in Japan, work with clients all across the globe, some very large organizations like Panasonic and Dow Jones and Financial Times and Royal Bank and others. But really, again, for the last 13 years, we've been solely focused on helping consultants to grow their businesses and to really do it in a way that is profitable, in a way that balances lifestyle with impact. And everything else that people want to really realize their potential and have a lot more freedom. So that's kind of what we've been focused on for the last 13 years. Of built and sold a few other businesses during that time. But this is kind of my whole world is working with consultants, and we have also the Consulting Success podcast. Have about 47,000 people that download that each month. Continues to grow every month, and just having a lot of fun. Building the business with a great team.
That's awesome. Amazing, Michael. I love hearing that kind of stuff. And it's like you're a consultant for consultants.
Yeah, I've been called that multiple times. That's not really how I think about myself. I just, when I was young, I had one teacher, and she was a very, an old lady at that point. She's no longer with us, I'm sure. It's many years ago, but she saw something inside me. She's like, you're going to be a teacher one day. And I was like, no, I don't want to be a teacher. I want to be a businessman. I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to make money. And then my mom, years later, she also said to me, like, yeah, I think you'd be a really great teacher. I said, maybe one day, Mom, but I just, I want to keep doing this business thing. 'Cause from a pretty young age, I got involved in business and trying different things. But over the last probably 8 years or so, I realized, like they were right, because where I get the greatest fulfillment is not about the monetary side. It's really about seeing the impact that we can have on the clients that we work with. And so that's what I enjoy most is teaching. And even outside of a business context, if we're sitting down and we're having a coffee or something, Shahid, and we're just talking, and if you ask a question, if I can somehow add value to you, to your life, again, it could be completely on a personal side, could be health, could be fitness, whatever. But when I can help somebody, for me, that feels good. It feels even better when somebody actually listens and then implements, and I can actually, they can see the benefit of it. Many people will just listen, not necessarily implement, but that for me, I've realized I am internally, like at the heart level, I'm a teacher. That's kind of where I resonate best with.
Yeah. You lead with service, right? So you lead with service,
100%.
And that's, it's unfortunate, but I found that since COVID hit, I see a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of people in business have kind of shifted to giving more and service more, and you know what I mean? So that's amazing, because if you start and you start your day with actually going out to kind of give more than you're trying to take, you will see good times. Your business is going to flourish. The people that you come in contact will change. I'm a firm believer in that. That's amazing that you do that. You are always that's your personality from day one.
I know from day one. I mean, going back many years, I was born in Toronto. So I know that's where you are right now, hometown. But at 2 years of age, my parents kind of picked us up and moved us to Israel. And so I spent about 4.5 years surrounded, by new cultures, new languages, religions, just a whole different world. And when I came back to Canada, this time to Vancouver at the age of 6.5, I didn't speak English. I didn't know anyone. So I really felt like an outsider. And at that early stage, I felt like I wanted to prove myself. And so I did everything through sports. That's really where I put a lot of my energy. And I certainly was not, I was not the kind of person, like I never thought of myself as a teacher. I certainly was never into academics. My whole life was sports, but that mindset of service, or I think probably at a deeper level, helping others. Like I was the type of person that even from a young age, if I saw, bigger kids picking on a little kid, I would be the first one in there being like, don't touch him, or don't touch her, or don't say that. In high school, I remember, there weren't many Black people in my high school, and one kid came over from Ghana. And I remember he would sit by himself every single day having lunch, like in the field, and no one would talk to him. And I just, I'd go up and just talk to him because I like people. I want to learn about where people are from. Like I just like learning about cultures and languages. And then, what's interesting is that when then one person starts to hang out, other people start seeing like, oh, I guess this person, isn't just by themselves. And so then they started to become included in more things. And so for me, it's always been people who some people might consider themselves like a nerd. I've never thought of people that way. Like I remember one kid was very into trains when he was young in elementary school, but I just talked to him. Like, people are people. So for me, that's the most important thing is I love the world. I love, as I said, religions and cultures and languages, and I like helping people. So that's kind of our business is a family business. Shahid, my cousin, is my business partner. We've done many businesses together over the years, and everything that we do, we run as a family business. And at the core of that, right, it's about being inclusive. It's about really providing the highest level of service and care for those that you work with, because that's the way that you'd want to treat a family member.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's so amazing to be in Canada, to see, all these different cultures, even in America, like to be able to experience different religions, different cultures, different languages, different way of being. I don't know. I find it enticing. I find it like energetic, like you get so much out of it. Yeah, it's so amazing, especially in business. You come across it in your podcast now. What do you do? Interview guests, or is it more about speaking about consulting?
Yeah, no. So, I mean, it is a blend. The vast majority is interviews of successful consultants. And that's not what we've been doing for many years. But I do weave in some kind of, call like bonus episodes where it'll be a solo cast, just myself talking about a topic that I think would be valuable or beneficial to, for the audience. But the vast majority is I really want to feature the brilliance of others and the experience of others so that the community of consultants can learn.
That's excellent. And what are your plans on writing a book or anything in the future?
So yeah, I mean, book number 4 came out recently. First book was called Consulting Success, which is the same name as our company, and that's really a guide for people who want to get into consulting. The next book was The Elite Consulting Mind, and that's really came from the observation that you'll encounter people who are very knowledgeable. They'll understand, a strategy or multiple tactics, yet they're still not getting the results they want. And so what I kind of identified is that it's not strategy or tactics that will make somebody successful, it's their mindset, right? Wow, if you don't have the right mindset, if you can't implement, it doesn't matter what you know. So I identified 16 specific mindsets that impact consultants, although it's very applicable to entrepreneurs in general. And then told a lot of stories from client situations, our own business, myself, in that book. That's The Elite Consulting Mind. And then Act Now was, how successful consultants thrive during chaos and uncertainty. Published that in April of 2020. So right in the height of COVID. And there was no plans to publish that. It went from concept to being out in the world in about 3 or 4 weeks, just because I saw a lot of people and our team, everyone at Consulting Success, like the whole community, we saw a lot of people who were struggling or who were just kind of frozen, like, deer staring into the headlights of a car, not really knowing what to do. And it's understandable because it was a very uncertain time. And so I interviewed a bunch of people that I respect and asked them, what are you doing in your business? And we shared what we're doing in our own business. And what was very interesting to see, Shahid, is that the vast majority of people were doing the same things, meaning that those who were able to potentially weather the storm, I mean, we weren't sure, it was still early days at that time, but the ones that we thought probably had the best chance of success of weathering the COVID storm, or just that kind of challenging time, they were doing many of the same things. That's Act Now. And then the most recent book that just came out about, what is it now? I guess about a month ago, is called The Future of Consulting. And there again, interviewed a bunch of successful consultants. And the goal was to really look at and get perspective on how can you learn from this challenging period that we've had, and actually strengthen your business? How can you future-proof your business? Because if we look at history, right, what it teaches us is that there will be another time of economic challenge. There will be another time where we have a pandemic or some version of that. And so I think it's quite dangerous, in fact, for people to just look at the light at the end of the tunnel going like, oh yeah, we're almost through COVID, let's get back to business. But if you don't actually use this as an opportunity to learn and to find out, where are we actually over-reliant? As an example, the speaker who gets 90% of their business from speaking or delivering in-person workshops. Well, if they don't have a community, if they don't have a list, if they don't have a way to, or at least a plan to diversify their streams of income, or their channels, and how they engage with people, they're going to be in big trouble when the next kind of pandemic comes around. And so the whole idea of the future of consulting is to identify areas of opportunity in your business with best practices, so that you can not only benefit right now, but really into the long term.
And it's such an important point that you made, Michael, about mindset. Is everything, like your body just doesn't move the way you want it to move if your mindset is not supportive, like if it's not aligned with your actions and your feelings. And it's incredible that you see the transformation, coaches or consultants and everything, like if they actually start working on their mindset, start believing, start having faith, their results transform like night and day. And I'm so happy that you do that, like that's a great help. Now for actual consultants, who are your ideal type of consultants? Like there are different types, right? So who do you usually work with?
Yeah, so our clients are people who are experts in their area. Their industries are literally every industry that you could imagine, from science and pharmaceutical to internet, Wi-Fi, to other areas of medicine, artificial intelligence, machine learning, management, food and beverage, environment. Like you name an industry, we've probably worked with one or many consultants in that industry. And that's because our focus, Shahid, is not to help people to get better, for example, at machine learning. Like I don't know about machine learning. I don't know about AI enough to teach anyone, right? They already have the expertise. They're not coming to us for help in their area of expertise. They're coming for help on how to build a successful consulting business. So we help people from a range, some who are just getting started, making the transition from corporate to consultant, others that have been consulting for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, and might run a business that's doing $1 million, $2 million, $5 million, sometimes 10 or 15 million. But many of them will be anywhere from getting started to being quite successful, but they've recognized that they don't know what they need to do to get to that next level. And that might involve getting much clearer on their area of specialization, on who their ideal clients are. It might involve really developing a message that will get the attention and interest of their ideal clients. It also might involve how to take all their years of experience and skills, or even their existing products and services, and find ways to package them or repackage them and position them and place value on them and price them in a way that really aligns with what their ideal clients want to buy, and allows them to use more leverage and more scale, and to increase profitability, to build their teams, put better systems and processes in place. So that whole part of it, and lead generation, getting clients, that's what we help them with, is the business side of consulting.
Mm-hmm. And if you had to kind of pick, for example, it sounds like you don't work with everyone, right? So is there like a specific criteria you look for, or do you work with anyone? Like, do you actually kind of verify if you're capable of helping someone? Like, how does it work with you to qualify a client?
For sure. So we have two programs, kind of two main streams. We have a lot of free content, right? So probably 1,000+ articles, hundreds of podcast episodes, videos, all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot for people to consume without any level of investment. But in terms of, for those that are looking to invest and kind of get into one of our programs, our first program is called Momentum, and that's a self-study implementation program online that people can register and sign up themselves and go through They get lifetime access to it. They can work through it at their own time. For that, there's no verification involved. Anyone that's interested in getting into consulting or who is early stage in consulting could likely benefit from that program. It's a lot of the systems and best practices and scripts and templates that we've used with thousands of clients to this point, to really make much more progress and kind of accelerate the early stages of their consulting business and get to that 6-figure plus level. Then for those that want a personalized plan and kind of a customized strategic plan for their consulting business, that's our Clarity coaching program. And for that, we have very limited enrollment. Each month, we're only typically able to accept a few new people into that program, because we work very closely with kind of new clients that come into that program. And that just really comes down to the level of support, personalization that they receive. And for that, we get over 100 applications a month for that program, but very few are we actually able to accept. And that just comes down to us feeling, number one, very confident that it's the right kind, it's the right person with the right skill set that we can really help them. But we also want to make sure that there's a good cultural fit. And what I mean by that is that person is becoming part of a community of other successful consultants or other people that are going down that path. And so we want to make sure that they're going to bring the right level of energy and focus and commitment to the community so that it benefits everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good to have kind of criteria wise. And that course that you're talking about, Momentum, is that something they just do online? Like they just have access, or do you actually kind of create it in a way that they have to complete certain tasks within each week, each month? How is it designed for?
Yeah, so we certainly, we looked at all the different approaches for it. And, there are some programs you'll go through where, you'll have, like, for example, you log in and you'll only have a little bit of content in the beginning, and then you have to wait, to have more and more content released. And our approach was just, we decided to do it different. We wanted to give people access to everything all at once. And we want to do that because we know that people are, they're at different stages of kind of their development or where they are. So one person might want to dive more into one area, another one might, want to go into a different area. But what we did is we completely re-engineered the program. So we've been offering a kind of a prior version of Momentum for probably 7-8 years. And about 2.5 years ago or so, we took it off the market and we completely re-engineered it from the ground up. And what we did is we structured it so that every single day for the first 30 days when you come into the program, you receive a very specific kind of bite-sized recommendation. And so it comes to you in the form of an email, and it tells you, here's the one thing that you need to do today. So if you only had 1 hour, right, to spend working on your business, here's the one thing that you should do. And if you just do this one thing, it'll help you to make significantly more progress than the vast majority of people out there. Of course, you can go and you can dive much deeper into the whole program that you have lifetime access for. But this is like, essentially applying the 80-20 principle to learning, because many people will sign up for a program and then never actually complete it. And so what we wanted to do is we wanted to say, listen, even if you don't get to everything right now, you can come back and go through it later. But if you do just this 20%, just this minimal amount, for the first 30 days, you will make more progress. You'll be more clear. You will feel more confident than, again, the vast majority of people. And so what we found is just looking at the number of people who have kind of been able to go through Momentum and apply it, they've been able to see results and, kind of reach success or a sense or a feeling of success based on their feedback 4 times faster than what they expected doing it themselves. So there's been a lot of, we have hundreds of testimonials and videos and results from clients. So it's a very proven process, but we're always improving it. We also have a call that we provide, a monthly coaching call, community call for all clients. So they're part of a community. They do have opportunities to ask questions, get answers. But yeah, it's been working very well for people.
That's excellent. So if someone's in consulting, for example, and they're looking to grow their business, what would be your top 3 recommendations that you could give someone like that can help them start implementing something that can get them growing?
Yeah, so it would depend on what stage they're at. Like, you're talking about somebody who's earlier stage or somebody who's
someone who's doing like, they're happy, they're doing fine, right? They have a desire to grow. They want to go to the next level.
So what I'm hearing, Shahid, is you're kind of describing, and the reason I'm pushing back here a little bit is because when somebody, people often say, like, what are, the best things to do? And it's, well, it depends, right? So if we're hitting on here, kind of identifying somebody who already runs they're an existing consultant, they're successful, they have clients, but they want to now get to that next level, or where are some low-hanging fruit for a typical person? Okay,
yeah, that's
great.
exactly what I was saying. Like just someone that's already doing well, like they're paying the bills, they're making money, they're serving people. They just want to go to the next level. So,
Yep. So yeah, I mean, three things. Number one is increasing your fees. That's almost always the easiest, not necessarily so I should say it's probably the simplest step. May not be the easiest from a mindset perspective, but again, this is what I talk about, in the book that I mentioned earlier, the Lead Consulting Mind, that one of these mindsets is fees, increasing fees. A lot of people have a block around doing that, right? Well, what happens if I lose business? What happens if people say no? But that is the simplest path to becoming more profitable, to earning more, is by increasing your fees. So there's strategies that you can use to do that and do it with great effect. So that would be the first thing. We've seen so many clients that have been able to just increase their fees without having to spend more time, more money. They just are able to earn more. So that's number one. Number two is I would, look at if people don't have a consistent way to bring in new opportunities into their business. So that, depending on the maturity of their current marketing system, or maybe they don't even have a marketing system, but looking at how are they currently going about bringing in new leads, new opportunities. Are they relying just on referrals in their network? Are they, do they actually have an intentional marketing system, a referral program? How strategic are they? How how are they implementing those tactics? We've seen the majority of people don't actually have a very good system to bring in new opportunities consistently into their business. So that would be the second thing. And this is quite common because for many consultants, they can get to a pretty good level in many cases just on the back of referrals in their network. And in some cases, like they're doing fine, but they'll almost always wake up one day and say to themselves one of two things. Either one, the referral well that I used to count on that was kind of plentiful and filled with water is now starting to dry up. And they see that coming. The second is they go, okay, it may has got me to $200,000 a year, but I really want to get to $500,000. And that's not going to happen just based on what they've been doing before, because if it was, they'd already be there. So that's the second thing, is really looking at your marketing system and making sure that you have a strategic marketing approach and system that leans to your strengths. It's not about you as the consultant having to do everything yourself. It's figuring out how can you put a system in place that will really run consistently for you. And that then takes us to the third thing, which is connected to the second, which is looking at ways to delegate, to build team. And when I say team, some people go like, whoa, no, like the reason I left corporate is because I don't want to manage people anymore. And I totally get that, right? But when you start seeing more success in your business, you very quickly realize that there's very few people on this planet that can achieve extraordinary levels of success doing everything themselves. And so it's much better to identify areas that are lower value and activities that are lower value that you're currently spending your time on, and then find ways and put systems and processes in place that allow you to really delegate that and to build a team. And when I say team, it could be a freelancer, a contractor, right? It could be somebody in another country or somebody locally. There's many different ways to go about doing this. But when you have the right people surrounding you, it frees you up to focus on high value work, on higher revenue producing or higher profit producing work. But even more importantly, it allows you to really be in your zone. Like you can actually feel focused. You can feel like you're in flow. You're doing better work and you're able to do it more consistently, which makes you feel happier and more fulfilled. And that typically translates into the business being more successful as well.
So basically, the top three recommendations that you provided are something that they will need to get professional help for. So this recommendation is someone that could speak to a company like you or another company, whichever, say, can you help me with, maybe they don't have a problem with increasing their price, right? Maybe they have the mindset, they have the belief, they have the inner belief that, hey, I am worth this much, right?
Sure.
But the second and the third one, I would think they would need some outside help, professional help for.
Yeah, Shahida, like here's what I would say, Bless. Myself personally and our company, for many years, we've invested in our own coaches and mentors. I've always seen that's the fastest way to accelerate your performance and your results. That being said, I mean, there's one of our clients in Australia, when he wrote a testimonial, he said, because he launched his consulting business right at the beginning of COVID. And he said, like, great time to do this. But his comment, I think, was very true and powerful. He said, I could probably have figured this out myself. I could probably have done this myself, but it would have taken me 18 to 24 months. And here I am 6 weeks later and already landing clients and seeing progress. So I think that the reality is people can choose like to do whatever they want. They don't need to invest into a coach or a program or whatever. You could pick up some books. You can, dabble in something and try and kind of cobble all the stuff together. The question becomes, what is more important for you? Is it more important to preserve some cash, right? Because maybe you're just not in the financial situation to invest, or is time more important to you, right? Are you able to make an investment into whatever, area that is appropriate for you, whether personal, business, finance, or, health, whatever, all that kind of stuff, but to make an investment, knowing that you can take what somebody has already learned, they already know what's going to work and what isn't going to work, and then simply be able to use that to see results much faster. So it's, is time more important for you or money? And I think as people start to accelerate more, when you look at those who see greater success in their business or have become more successful, they'll always say that it's time. Time is the greatest asset. And if there's a way to get results faster, that's always the best way.
110% I agree. Like it's mentorship and getting advice and getting help in areas that you need help or you need to kind of speed up is hands down the best decision that anyone can make. You're kind of going towards the older number, not the younger number, right? And getting that help by the right people is so critical, so important if you're growing your business. But this stuff is all available. Like YouTube is full of it, your content, everything's there. Yeah. Knowing is usually not the problem. Like we're filled with knowing, it's the problem is the doing part of the equation. That's why there's only a small percentage of people that are successful, is because the doing part is weak. And then having a coach, they put you in action, right? So
yeah, I think that a big thing that I've noticed over the years, because we've been doing this for 13 years in terms of working just with consultants specifically, so we've seen a lot of different things come and go over that time. And one kind of mistake or scenario that people find themselves in is they'll, let's say, identify something that somebody's talking about, a new marketing trend or a tool or a tactic, whatever it might be. But when you see a marketing approach that is working for, let's say, for a company that is selling razors, that's likely not going to be the right approach to reach a CEO or a CFO or some other executive in an organization. And so what I'm always letting people know is make sure that whatever information you're kind of gathering, that you're applying it in the right way and that it's applicable. You need to make sure that your messaging resonates with your ideal client and that you're not just following what you see somebody else doing. You want to make sure that you can learn from other people and certainly also learn from other industries and other models. But you have to then think about, how do I, make sure that I can adjust that or kind of tweak it so it fits for the market that I'm actually wanting to work in.
Mm-hmm. And are there other like consultant companies that help consultants that are very niche specific, like, real estate consultant companies they provide coaching and service for? You're a more broad opportunity, like any type of consultant can hire your services. Do you have departments as well that specialize in a specific industry?
Yeah, so we have, for example, as part of our Clarity coaching program, we have kind of like certified coaches that many of them have actually been clients that have gone through our program, built up very successful consulting businesses. And they also now work and coach some of our clients that come through the program. And so we always try and look at how to match up new clients with people in those industries. But, I think we've always focused on consultants. So there are people out there who have a lot more experience, for example, working with life coaches or, spiritual healers, or these days, it's very common to use the word consultant, but for over a decade now, our focus has been consultants who work with organizations. It might be a for-profit, it might be a nonprofit, it might be an innovative startup, it might be a multi-billion-dollar organization, but our focus has always just been consultants.
Great. And we always like to ask our guest what their inner superpower is that got them to this point.
Yeah, I think when I filled in that information you were asking earlier, I think I put down commitment and dedication.
Yes.
If I remember correctly.
Yes.
And this goes back to, for me, a very young age, where probably in sports, in order for me to feel that I was successful, I had to have commitment. When you're playing a sport, if you want to do it properly, you show up every day, you show up for every practice, right? You put in the work. A little bit later on in life, I remember I was in a college program and it was Asian studies. Again, taking me back, I always enjoyed the world and stuff. And so I was learning about Asia at that time. Asia was a very big power. This was probably when Japan was actually the real powerhouse in the economy, not China. But what was interesting about that program is that it was all very focused on arts, but there's no commerce part of that program. So I went to the kind of the dean of the department. I said, listen, I want to take some commerce classes. I want to learn about business because I think it's very important to connect what I'm doing here with the business side. And he said, to his credit, he's like, well, we don't really do that. But if you write a letter, if you kind of really tell me why you want to do this and why you think it's gonna be helpful, I'll consider it. And so I did. I remember I worked at it. I got my mom's help to kind of think through, and I presented, and he said, okay. And not only did that benefit me, but also another of my good friends, he kind of tagged along and said, yeah, like I want to do that too. And so I don't know what kind of impact it had on the program after we left, but certainly one thing I've kind of realized, Shahid, over the years is that when you really are committed to doing something, you can always find a way. It may not be, staring you straight in the face. You might have to work hard to find it. But if you truly are like committed to achieving something, whether it's a certain level of health or wellness or knowledge or success in business or relationships, like whatever area of your life, if you're committed to it, you can do it. And I think what happens so often is people will get excited about ideas. Like, I want to do this. I want to see this. I want to create this. And they'll dabble in it. They'll try it, but then it doesn't work. And then they go, okay, well, I guess this isn't the right thing. And they'll go off and do something else. And I think that's where a lot of failures come. But to me, I'm always, quote unquote, failing. I'm always learning. I'm always trying things and not getting results. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to give up. It doesn't mean that I'm going to, shift my level of dedication or commitment. Because when we make a plan and we talk internally with our team, or even personally for myself, when I make my own plans, I'm going to see them through. And so I think that is, call it my superpower, but it's a superpower that every single one of us, I believe, has inside of us. We just need to harness it. We just need to kind of extract it or bring it to the front, and then we can all benefit from it.
And commitment, really, if you have to kind of step back, because commitment is like a choice too, because you're not born with this kind of characteristic. Is something that has a meaning inside, and you being that committed there, if you dig deep enough, if you kind of look in, there must be something that's connecting that commitment to something deeper that's making you that committed. Because if everyone was committed, then it would be a different world. But there's something there, so that's great answer. Yeah So, well, I want to thank you for coming on the show, Michael. It's been amazing speaking to you. Obviously all your information will be available in the show notes if anybody wants to connect with you. If you're ever in Vancouver, I'm going to message you. And if you're ever in Toronto, message me. I'd love to continue knowing you, and you're a great guy. And thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, Shahid, great speaking with you, and keep up the great work. It's fantastic that you're putting the show up for everyone.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.